Good afternoon, SMF MMTs. Once again, we're going to be back here to Human Genome Sciences. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do for the public is put in perspective as to what is being said here so that the public always makes reactions on catastrophizing what they read and this and that. Okay? And there's very level-headed very level-headed type of decisions that are going to be made. Level-headed decisions are made that you know what the reality is. So we made a high today, 2738. We had a JP Morgan conference the other day. There's a mix of things coming out. San Francisco Dow Jones Human Genome Sciences 2699 is expecting, here it is expecting regulatory approval of its lupus drug in March. However, Chief Executive Thomas Watkins is trying to make sure investors don't get too excited about the drug's launch. And what does he mean by that? It's going to get launched. You heard what he said? Don't get too excited about the launch. Well, what does he mean? Benlysta is a drug developed by Human Genome. And what he's basically saying is it'll be the first drug in 50 years. It's to make a decision in March, and Wall Street generally expects sales to exceed $1 billion a year. Watkins is worried about the drug selling earlier this year. Watkins isn't worried. See? Isn't. He didn't say is. He said Watkins isn't worried. Right here. Watkins isn't worried about the drug selling earlier this week. So I want the public to know he didn't say Watkins is worried. He says Watkins isn't worried. The company expected multi-million-dollar annual revenues by 2015. But he has become concerned about investors' perspectives. That's the public model. Is that we've been trying to manage down expectations a bit. Okay? He said in an interview Wednesday at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference in San Francisco. And we listened to that conference, and we sat in on that conference because we did. Often with drug launches, the expectations are so high that the first couple of quarters it's almost impossible to meet expectations. Well, Dendreon, what he's talking about, he's talking about subsidies, okay? And basically, the success of Benlysta has made Human Genome stock a darling of the sector. It's traded at 45 cents. It traded at 45 cents in early 2009 amid pessimism ahead of two trial results for Benlysta. The shares recently traded at 27.02. Sorry, we were buying it back there. Let's make sure that when the public reads old statements, whoever wrote this article decided to go in here, put Cohen and Company. Schmidt said last month that the drug, is about $25 peak sales drugs to reach $2.5 billion to $3 billion a year. He said that level was unlikely and predicts a peak of $1.7 billion in lupus-related sales. Valuing the stock at $11 to $12. I'm sorry, don't pay attention to that. That's wrong. Watkins declined to offer estimates, but he believes that the initial uptake may be gradual. It will take some time for managed care companies to get the drug in their systems, and it will. It always does. But however, and he goes down here. He declined to comment on the price, but expects it to be somewhere between $20,000 and $45,000 a year for that treatment. And what I want to say, physicians will have to use a buy and bill method, meaning they acquire a drug. So once a drug is acquired with approval, once it's going to go out there, then there's another set of circuit breakers that go into play. And what they are is that there's an actual formal procedure. They have to be subsidized. Once they're approved, then they got to go to the market. They've got to be subsidized. They got to go through hearings and get approved. Just like they did on Dendreon, Amgen, or any company, any of them. So basically, what I want the public to understand is that it's going to go through its processes. The drug's success in 2 large studies has produced consistent speculation that Glaxo or another large drug maker would acquire a human genome. Watkins declined to comment on any interest from buyers, but he said he is focused on building the company to grow as an independent organization. Buddies, so the public doesn't make bad things for the long haul. This company has so many different cross relationships with people in the biotech industry, paying licensing fees. They're involved with many other partnerships that they have been in development with. There's lots of things coming. What Mr. Watkins is trying to say is that, look, we're going to get approved, but you need to know that there's also a process after that that has a chain of command of events, and part of that is getting subsidy approval. They did it with Dendreon one day in after hours, and we have the live video. Stock was at $38. All of a sudden it was at $25 because the public overreacted. We bought it and we made a lot of money again, and it got all of its subsidies approval at $90,000 a year pop. But then again, the public and the sellers all bailed out of the stock. It was down like $12 or $13 on Dendreon that day, and we bought it all up. Boy, did we ever. Because people don't understand the processes. And what Mr. Watkins, I think, is trying to make things totally clear is it's not about, we're going to get approval. It's not about the approval. It's about the distribution channels and how all of these things get set up and have their chain of command and events that go through with it. And basically, when any new big drug blockbuster is approved, it's a big deal because they've done well. Now there's another set of circumstances that they'll have to work through after that initial launch. And he's just simply trying to tell people, let's not get too excited about the drug's launch, because there are those other procedures. And I'm going to leave it at that. What I will caution is that people do not react out of pure emotion. They have put such a bad spin on this stock going through its processes. It's just unbelievable. We have a complete page at stockmarketfunding.com that we went through every single live event. And we're going to keep our traders level-headed. Once again, what we do at stockmarketfunding.com is that we're constantly monitoring the public reaction. They're always wrong. They're wrong. Their initial thought, percentage-wise, is always wrong. Do not make bad choices when it comes to human genome sciences. The public reaction is going to be here. So what? That's their shortcoming by not understanding what we're putting out here on video right now. We understand it. We bought it for the long haul. And there's different ways of trading around it. As a matter of fact, we own the April $30 calls because they used to be at $7.50, and we thought we'd be buying down around the dollar area. They've moved up in our favor. We are buying wholesale. However, between bear and bull agenda, a bull wants it to go higher, and naturally the bears that are trapped short right now, because we had a run up here today to 27.38. They're trapped below the market. Each party has their own agenda. We will remain buyers on the dip. We bought for the long haul. We will calibrate the risk. We'll calibrate that if we have to take, a profit and then buy cheaper again. That's what we would do. However, we can't say that that's what we're going to do yet, because we have to monitor the public reaction, the public hystericalness. The public will make everything as bad as they can out of this. But let's not forget that Mr. Watkins is trying to make sure investors don't get too excited about the drug's launch. You know how he says the drug's launch? That is remarkable. The drug's launch. So, the pricing mechanisms that go thereafter and all the other things that happen, that's how that's going to be. So let us not catastrophize about it not getting approval. Once it gets approval, we're going to sell the first pop. Then we're going to go through the second phases that they all go through. And that is the distribution channels and the distribution models that they have. And that's all going to be about the pricing. That's going to be about it. But what people don't realize is Benlysta is just a treatment cure. Human genome has got so many other things that work in oncology and cross currences between other publicly traded companies that they have all these wonderful things and all these things set up with. They are the future of medicine. And we're going to leave it at that. And we're going to leave it at the fact that we will gauge the public. That's what we do as market makers and investors.